This is a mini PC. It's really small, it looks cool on my desk, it plays games good, but did you know that there is something you can add to it to make it even better? Check this out. See how much better that is? Yeah, you do. It's been a while since I checked out a mini PC. I haven't had new mini PCs to test, and honestly, I think the reason for the drought is because the mini PC market is in a bit of a transition period. We got the Ryzen 8000 series mini PCs last year, and they've been waiting for the new HX370 mini PCs to become widely available. And now they are, and this is literally the first time I've been able to test this chip, so this will be a new experience for the both of us. And hey, since we're trying new things, I don't suppose we could talk about that later. This is the all-new GMKtec Evo-X1. It's tiny, it's cool looking, and it's powerful. And we're gonna test it today. But not only that, also this. Yeah, this is GMKtec's external GPU, the GMKtec GP1. And in this little unassuming rectangle is a graphics card, the Radeon RX 7600 MXT. This thing is like an add-on to the X1. So you could get the X1 and play games on it, albeit with some limitations, or you can get the GP1 to pair with it to turn it into a straight-up gaming rig, or you can get just the GP1 GPU to use with your other doodads, like other mini PCs or even handheld PCs. These were kindly sent to me by GMKtec to check out and review and share with you guys, so that's what I'm gonna do right now. Starting with the X1, in the box we get a mini PC, and in here we get a power adapter. This is a 120 watt adapter, and this is some sort of stand. I guess it just kind of gets put in there like that. And over here we get an HDMI cord and the power cable for the power. And dang, this mini PC makes a really nice first impression. I love the look of this. It's like a nice size, nice little stylish metal casing on there. And if you take the feet off underneath, you can remove that outer shell. And then inside, it looks like we have easy access to our M.2 drives, and the Wi-Fi chip is in there too. You cannot upgrade the RAM on this device though. It's soldered to the board, so there's no point in tearing this whole dang thing apart. It's not that I'm too lazy. I don't know why you'd say that, and I'm frankly offended that you would suggest that. And here's the GP1, in here is a power cable, and in here is a warranty card and an Oculink cable and a USB-C Thunderbolt cable and a power brick rated at 240 watts. And the GPU is actually really nice. It's way smaller than I thought it would be, and it looks great. All sorts of fun configurations you could arrange this in. You put this over here or on this side. So much fun. These things aren't just gray rectangles though. They have specs inside. The Evo-X1 is powered by the Ryzen 9 HX370. That chip also has an integrated Radeon 890M GPU. The RAM is 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM clocked at 7500 megathings per second. For storage, we have a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and we also have built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2. And the GP1 is powered by the Radeon RX 7600 MXT graphics card and 8 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM on a 128-bit memory bus. The X1 mini PC has a good amount of I/O. On the front, we have an Oculink hole, a USB 4.0 hole, 2 USB-A holes, and a headphone hole, and a power button. And then around back, we have 2 more USB-A holes, and a HDMI hole, and a DisplayPort hole, and dual 2.5 gigabit Ethernet holes, and a power plug hole. There's a big vent on each side of the PC and a main fan area underneath. And those do a great job of keeping the PC cool, and it's actually super quiet too. The GP1 eGPU has a bunch of holes. Around back, we have 2 DisplayPort 2.0 holes, and 2 HDMI 2.1 holes, as well as an Oculink hole, and a USB-C 4.0 hole with 100 watts of pass-through power delivery on there, and a power plug hole. And some airflow vents on the sides. There's one side for intake and one side for exhaust. Now, on their own, these things are nice looking, and even together, you can configure these on your desk to look really cool. You can basically have just these on your desk and have this cool techie looking little mini PC computer setup that's actually way more powerful than it appears. It's like a incognito gaming PC there. The problem is that each of these have their own power supply, and the power supplies are not small. And then you have the cables to connect this stuff up, so you'll probably not want to have all this stuff on your desk at once. You know, maybe have the power supplies tucked away on the floor, and then the eGPU and the mini PC on the desk or whatever. and that's a lot cleaner like that. The system is a clean standard version of Windows 11. No bloatware or any bullcrap, apart from the standard Windows bloatware and bullcrap, of course. I spent like 10 minutes cleaning that stuff out, and then I got Steam installed and all set up and installed my benchmark programs and whatnot. Speaking of which, let's get the benchmarks out of the way at this point, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. Starting with Cinebench R23. The X1 with that Ryzen 9 HX370 was able to pull off a single core score of 2027 and a multi-core score of 21,065. I couldn't believe that when I saw it. That's about equivalent to a desktop i7 12700K. In Crystal Disk Mark, I got a max sequential read of 5,196 and a max write of 4,758. Decent numbers for an SSD that's bundled with a mini PC. And in 3D Mark Time Spy, using the integrated graphics, we got an overall score of 4,033, which is a good bit above the average score for this chip. However, connecting up the GP1 gives a whole different level of performance in 3D Mark, all the way up to 10,169. I say this is really impressive performance, in the benchmarks at least. Let's see how it does in gaming though, shall we? Yes. Starting off, as always, with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Yes, it's 2025 and I'm still playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I know, it's basically a retro game by this point, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep testing this game because it's a great game to test in terms of graphics. I always use it, so it's helpful for me to compare mini PCs together. And also, Lara Croft is my girlfriend, and I love her, and she loves me, and she misses me when I don't play enough Shadow of the Tomb Raider. On the Evo-X1 all on its own with no eGPU, this is running at 1080p native on the high preset, and we got 45 FPS on average. Man, I've been testing this game for so long, it kind of feels like magic to be able to run it this good on an iGPU. The Radeon 890M GPU that we have in here can do ray tracing, but you'll take a big hit to your frame rate, obviously. Turning on ray tracing up to high brought us down to just 25 FPS on average. It was almost playable like this, and if you brought down some of the other settings and maybe use some resolution scale, you'd probably be able to get some good performance. So at least ray tracing is an option if you're really into ray tracing and you just want it really bad. But let's see how it does when we connect up the GP1. This is maxed out 1080p with the Ultra preset, everything cranked, including ray tracing, and we got an average of 62 FPS. So yeah, obviously the 7600M XT GPU completely transforms this whole experience. And if you turn off ray tracing, we're up to 96 FPS on average. So if you don't care about ray tracing, then obviously you can get away with more performance. Unfortunately, it seems like ray tracing is going to be required in lots of new games moving forward. Speaking of which, here's a nice new game for us to try out. This is Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is not an easy to run game. There's so much like vegetation in the game and the draw distance is so crazy long. Also, this game has forced ray tracing. You literally can't turn it off. However, you can set it to do only the ray traced global illumination in just the hideout area, not the open world, so it's not as bad as it could be. Here I am on the Evo-X1 on its own, and this is running at 1080p with balanced FSR, no frame gen on the low preset, and we only averaged 39 FPS. I say only averaged as if that's not impressive. That's actually super impressive. This game is like top of the class in terms of graphics and hardware demand, so the fact that it's actually playable at non-potato settings is impressive. But 39 FPS isn't what lots of people are looking for, especially in an action game. So they probably have to lower the settings down to performance FSR, or maybe go lower on the native resolution to get that frame rate up just a bit. However, with the GP1, it's a whole different game. Actually, that's not true. It's the same game, it just looks better. With the 7600M XT, now we can up the graphics to quality FSR with the high settings, and I got 51 FPS on average like this. That's not like super crazy top-end performance or anything, but considering how demanding this game is, 51 FPS average is more than playable enough for me at these beautiful settings. And keep in mind, this is without frame gen. I didn't want to get into frame gen in this test because I'd rather personally play at lower FPS without it. And I know lots of people don't like frame gen at all. So I think this setup should be thought of as a 1080p setup. And at 1080p, you can get a good frame rate without frame gen. However, if you wanted to go up to like 1440p or even 4K, yeah, you need that frame gen for sure. I'm not going to test a million games here, just a few to give you an idea of the native performance and how it changes when you have an eGPU. But I did want to do a higher frame rate game. So let's go with
Doom Eternal.
On the Evo-X1 without the eGPU, here I am running at 1080p native with the high preset, and we got an impressive 68 FPS average. I could definitely have gotten a lot more out of it if I lowered the settings and the resolution scale, but above 60 FPS feels great for me. And considering that we're on the high settings, 1080p native for a mini PC, that shows how far things have come in a very short time. If you compare this to some of the mini PCs that I was testing out even just this time last year. This is impressive stuff, but it really can't compare to the performance that we get with the GP1 connected. The Evo-X1 is a little beast, but compared to how it runs with a dedicated 7600M XT connected, it's not even close. This is running at 1080p ultra settings, and I still got over 200 FPS on average. So yeah, if you're looking for some high refresh rate gaming, freaking heck yeah, an eGPU is going to serve you well. I feel like Doom Eternal represents about the level of graphics and performance that you can expect for most esports titles as well, like Fortnite and Marvel Rivals or whatever. I didn't have time to test out every game, but I hope this helps give you an idea of what you can expect in lots of different types of games. The final game that I tested was The Witcher 3, not because it's a brand new game, not because I expected any performance surprises, but simply because I wanted to play some Witcher 3, and I figured this would be as good a time as any. And sometimes actually playing a game for my own enjoyment gives me insights about the device I'm testing it on, if I'm just using it as I normally would. Here on the Evo-X1, I'm running at 1080p with balanced FSR on the medium preset, and it was running amazing. Definitely playable and enjoyable, but it also looked great. Some games don't look great when you compromise on the settings, especially the FSR implementation, but this game does it well. I never feel like the upscaling tech is distracting in any way. For the performance boost that you get, it's more than worth it. And if you want prettier, fancier graphics, then yeah, obviously hooking up the GP1 is going to take it to the next level. Here I'm able to run at 1080p native with the high settings, and I got 69 nice frames per second. Considering this is a sightseeing game where you do lots of like wandering around looking for quest items or looking for people to help and then journeying to the destination with minimal fast travel, being able to do that sightseeing with shinier graphics is just some extra yummy icing on the cake. The Witcher cake, made of monster guts or whatever. And real quick, I want to say that I was seriously impressed at the sound that these doodads make. The mini PC is really quiet. You can hear it when it gets cooking, but it's among the quietest mini PCs that I've tested, which is pretty surprising. Usually smaller mini PCs tend to be louder, but not here. The GP1 GPU is silent when you aren't gaming, but you can hear the fan when you're gaming. It's not like loud. The sound of the game totally drowned that out, but if you're in a quiet room, you would hear it. However, considering this is a graphics card, I'd say it's no louder than an actual graphics card in a computer. And also, you know, this is a modular setup, so you could like tuck this GPU away behind your monitor or behind your desk or even on the floor or whatever. You could still have a quiet desk even when you're gaming. Mini PCs are amazing, magical pieces of technology. I love the idea that you get an entire freaking computer that's small enough to take up less space on your desk than your venti half-calf extra whip 5 pumps vanilla extra caramel drizzle oat milk caramel macchiato with toasted poppy seed maple almond biscotti. And if you consider the benchmark numbers, you can totally expect to use this for basically any PC stuff that you could want to do, even gaming. Obviously, without an eGPU, you'll be limited, but there wasn't a single game that I couldn't play with respectable settings on the PC all by itself. And then adding on an eGPU to bump up the gaming performance, it's like a full desktop gaming PC like that, but it's modular. You could get the X1 mini PC now and then get the GP1 eGPU later when you have the budget, or get the mini PC and the GPU together and have a modular setup that you can bring the mini PC back and forth from like your office and your living room or something and leave the GPU where you do your gaming, or bring both with you wherever. They're actually small enough you could pack these and bring them places. To play Assassin's Creed Shadows on your trip to Japan, or play Doom Eternal when you go to hell. A desktop PC might be comparatively more powerful. For the price, you might get a bit more bang for the buck if you buy a pre-built desktop PC or build your own, but desktop PCs are big. They take up space on your desk and they're not at all portable. So that's the use case here, I think, to choose this over that. But to play devil's apricot, to be honest, just the mini PC on its own is enough for me, and probably most people, I think. The games don't feel drastically different. For me, whether I'm on just the X1 or if I also have the GP1 connected, I can still get lost in the games, get immersed. Apart from super demanding games, I think personally I'd be fine with the X1 mini PC on its own. But I guess that's another strength to this setup. You can get the X1, live with it, and then if you want more, you can add the GP1 later. I like that you have options with this. The X1 is $899 from GMKtec and the GP1 is $465. And you can also get that GP1 on Amazon, by the way. I'll have links below. However, GMKtec said they would make me a discount code to share. They didn't have that ready by the time I filmed this video, but check the description below if you're thinking of picking this up, because I'll probably have a code for you down there to make it cheaper if you're gonna buy one of these. And thank you, GMKtec, for providing this stuff to review. And thank you for making it all the way to the end of the video. I hope you found this useful or at least entertaining. Click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't, all that good stuff. That's it from me for today. I'm TechDweeb, thanks for watching, bye-bye.